Good morning and welcome to Peace Out, where we are all learning together to peace out. I hope you're having a good day, a good morning. Hope you're having a good week. If you have a regular work week, like I do not, if you do, then this is the middle of your week and you're almost done. You're over halfway done at noon today. Noon today will be halfway through Monday through Friday work week, right? Anyway, I do hope you're having a good week and a good day. Hey, I am going to be doing a class using Making of the Leader workbook. Now, don't say I'm not a leader, I don't need it, because you can still learn so much by studying the leaders in the Bible. We're going to look at Gideon. What kind of leader was he? Moses, Samuel, and one other one that I'll have to look at it and see who it was. Oh, Nehemiah, that was it. So I'm also working on a study guide, a Bible study guide for Nehemiah right now. So that'll be interesting too, but it will be in this class. But this class will be Making of a Leader. It'll be 6 weeks live sessions. I'm not recording them. If you miss them, you miss them, right? So if you want to get in on this, you won't find them anywhere else ever. It will be 5 or 6 live classes. We're going to start on a week from Thursday night. So if you don't have a copy of Making of a Leader, you don't have to get one yet, right? If you join the class for $25, you get the book, the ebook, not the print book, but the ebook and access to a closed group where we can just talk about leadership and biblical leadership. And so even if you're not a leader, you can learn about leadership. You can learn about, there's some scriptures we're going to look at that's going to be applicable in every area of life. So go sign up. It's only $25. It's pinned at the top of my profile, and join us in this class. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm kind of a fun teacher. I'm not a normal teacher. My students used to always say, you don't talk like a real teacher. But I am, right? So I is. So go sign up for that, and you'll get that ebook free, and then we'll have 6 really fun classes as we go through these 4 leaders and these 5 lessons that are in this book. All right. So this morning I was kind of all over the place. I know that's hard to believe, right? But I had a lot of different things going through my mind, and I was, we've talked about Monday. We talked about the men who were blind, who cried out and said, Jesus, have mercy on it. And when they were told to be quiet, they yelled louder. Then yesterday, we talked about how Jesus just stopped and listened to them. That's really important, because sometimes I just need him to just listen to me, and he doesn't get mad no matter what I say. He doesn't get all pouty and walk away and go, oh, brat, right? He might think that. He's not going to tell me, right? But he doesn't get pouty. He doesn't walk away. And how they cried out to them. We talked about wisdom crying out in the street. And then yesterday we talked about somebody crying out, but I don't remember what it was right this second. That's okay. And so this morning I was thinking about, I was looking at several different characters, but I ended up in Job. Now, a lot of people are afraid of Job. They don't want to read Job. Job is a hard book to read, right? Because he's going through such a difficult trial, and it's one that we can't comprehend. Thank God most of us don't even have any basis of comparison for Job. We haven't lost all of our children and our home and our way to make money and our health and all of these in one swoop. But some people have, of course. I'm sure Job's not just one single isolated case, but we have suffered loss. And so we can relate on one level, but it's hard for us to fathom and really get our head around that. Literally, one right after another, his crops are all gone. Then his animals are all gone. And then his children are all gone, one after another. And he had the most beautiful response. And can I say, I've never responded this way. I'm guilty of never responding this way. Right? I work around to it sometimes slowly, but I've never responded like Job. But when he found out that everything was gone, it says in chapter 1, verse 20, Job stood up. He tore his robe and shaved his head, which are both signs of just intense mourning and grief. And he fell to the ground and worshiped. I'm like, really? Not me. I'd have been screaming and crying, what are you doing, God? What do you think you're doing? And you know what? Whether we have the appropriate response and fall on the ground and worship and say say the Lord is given, the Lord is taken away, blessed be the name of the Lord. He was like, God gave me all of this, and now God didn't take it away, but he allowed it to be taken away, right? And now he's like, but God is still blessed. God is still God. God is still on the throne. I remember standing in the hospital in Shreveport and thinking, God didn't change. my life was had crumbled, right? I was headed to Africa. I was in Chicago. Gotten rid of everything, moved to Chicago, was working 3 jobs, headed to work with my aunt and uncle at a Bible school in Africa. My dream was coming together. And my response was not, oh, well, blessed be the name of the Lord, when I got the call of Chris's wreck. But I do remember being, and trauma is a weird thing. We need to talk more about trauma, because we don't talk enough about grief. We don't talk about this verse. We skip this verse that he tore his robe. He said, my heart is broken. I am mourning. And he shaved his head, which is a sign of grief. And you know what? The Bible doesn't say anywhere that he was not allowed to grieve. Sometimes real faithers want to make it sound like you're not supposed to grieve because this or because God, there's no reason to not grieve. When you suffer a loss, it's a natural response that God built into us to grieve and we feel the pain of that loss. But what Job did in the middle of his grief was so appropriate. He blessed God. He said, blessed be the name of the Lord. And I don't do that, but I do remember standing in the hospital in Shreveport one day. I believe I was down in the lobby somewhere, and I was like, you know what? God did not get off the throne. My life fell apart. I lost my son. He's still here, but he's gone. It's a living grief. We'll talk about that with caregivers some, right? But in that, I remember in that moment thinking God didn't change, and then trying to figure out how to get back to some sort of spiritual sanity in that moment, to have faith, to believe for Chris's healing, or just to get through the journey. And it's a day-to-day fight, like many of you fight too. If faith is a day-to-day fight, and sometimes we suffer losses, and sometimes we have great gains, and sometimes we feel like we have faith, and sometimes we feel like we ain't got none, right? And in all of that, God never changes. And we can always run back to him and go, you are still God. You are still Lord of my life. This word is still true, even though I don't feel it, I don't see it, I can't comprehend how it fits in this circumstance or this difficulty that I'm walking through. And maybe we're all walking around with torn robes and shaved heads in the metaphorical sense, right? Maybe we are. But God doesn't go, when you get it together, I'll come back and talk to you. No, God is with us in that moment. God is with us in the difficulties. He's with us in the hardships. He doesn't check out when things are bad, and he doesn't check out when things are good and go, well, you got this handled. Okay, so just go ahead. Right? He doesn't check out. He doesn't, he's always on. He's always with us. He does not change. And so we can have this kind of response. And I know that helped. It helps me, even though I went through a period of redefining my faith after such a tragic accident, a tragic life occurrence, right? I went through a time where I had to redefine my faith, but in that, God just babied me through it. He let me throw my fits, and he didn't go, I'll come back when you can act better. And he really will. He probably should have done that, right? But he didn't. He let me throw my little fits, so to speak. He let me express my anger. He let me express the grief over the loss. Go back to Psalm 46:1. He's a very present help in time of trouble. He doesn't scoot out at the first sign of trouble. He doesn't scoot out when life gets difficult. He doesn't scoot out when life is going good either, because he thinks we got it. He is always present. And I think that's one thing I love so much about God, is he's always on, even when I'm not, even when I get off. And here Job is in an intense moment, and he's going back to going, blessed be the name of the Lord. The name of the Lord did not change. The nature of God did not change. The character of God did not change just because he went through something hard. And sometimes we have to reshape our idea of who God is when we go through things, because we get taught things or we learn things that aren't exactly accurate. And so we have to go back and say, God, show me again. Let's talk about this, right? But no matter what is going on, God is going to stay the same, and he's going to stay with you, even if you don't acknowledge him. He doesn't leave. He doesn't go, well, they're not paying me any attention, I'm just going to leave now. Call me when you need me. He stays the whole time, when we're going through good things, when we're going through bad things, when we're going through in-between things, going through things we don't understand, the things we do understand, even if we're going through things we caused by our own decisions. He is a present help in time of trouble, in time of need. That's one of the coolest things about God is he's an always right here, right now God. He's not bound by time, and he can't be here 1 second. We have to wait for him to show up for the next. He is always with us, and that's why I'm going to peace out today. Peace out, you guys. I hope I said something that made sense. Sign up for that leadership class, and I'll see you again tomorrow.